This is Smiles TV. Welcome to Smiles Television Talk Show. I'm your host, Stephanie Anthony Miles, and we have a great broadcast for you today. We'll be talking with Geanovea West, and she has initiated a nonprofit organization called Minorities in Aviation. During the second part of the broadcast, we'll talk with Chike, who's a community advocate who believes in actually getting out and doing work in the community with his own hands and cleaning up our environment with no help sometimes. You don't want to miss this broadcast. Remember, Jesus Christ was born of a virgin. He was crucified and buried, and he rose on the third day. Confess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord. Believe in your heart that God has raised him from the dead, and thou shalt be saved. Stay tuned for more.
Are you looking for an insured and bonded residential or commercial contractor? On Time Contracting, owned by Ali McDowell, is just a phone call away. On Time Contracting operates with the utmost integrity and quantities to complete your project right on time. Residential or commercial, exterior or interior, roofing, siding, flooring, you name it. If you want your project completed for the price quoted and at the time quoted, contact On Time Contracting. Good, quality, professional work guaranteed to be completed on time. Call 618-567-3591. No project is too large or too small. On Time Contracting. Call On Time Contracting today. Meet Geanovea West, founder of Minorities in Aviation. Geanovea developed Minorities in Aviation in an attempt to close the gap on the numbers of minorities within aviation and other technological industries. Her organization exposes individuals to the aviation industry who might not otherwise have an opportunity. A year after graduating East St. Louis High School in 2003, Geanovea joined the United States Marine Corps, where she served 9 years as an avionics and electronics technician on attack helicopters and completed a year tour in Iraq. Geanovea is one of the very few African American females in the United States to be licensed by the Federal Aviation Administration as an airframe and power plants mechanic.
Welcome back to Smiles TV. I'm sitting here with Ms. Geanovea West, founder of Minorities in Aviation. Geanovea, how are you?
I am fantastic. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, thank you for coming. I just love the concept.
Thank you.
Minorities in Aviation.
Yes, ma'am.
Wow. Geanovea, let's start off a little bit with your background.
Yes, ma'am.
Where are you from, and how did you end up going into aviation?
Well, I'm born and raised in East St. Louis, class of '03. After I graduated from East Side, I went to the Marines right out of high school. I wanted to go to college, but I had no idea how to do it. The only other person in my family who graduated from college was killed when I was 13. And so I knew nothing about it. I just knew I wanted to go to college. I was interested in aviation. Or I meant to say I got interested in aviation because back in the day, they had a program called Students Engaged in Engineering, the SEE.
Okay.
And the program came to the inner city, and they used to take us out on field trips. And one of the field trips we got to go on was to McDonnell Douglas back in the day. It was 1998. I never forgot it. And when I got to go into McDonnell Douglas hangar and we got to see those airplanes, I was probably 12 or 13 then, and I've been hooked ever since. I wanted to learn everything that I could possibly learn about airplanes, how to work on them, how to fly them. I wanted to be an engineer, how to design them, just everything. And that passion that hit me as soon as I saw it the first time has never left me.
Let's talk about being in the military, a female in the military in aviation.
Yes, ma'am.
So how was that? What was your life like?
It took me, my first couple of years in the Marine Corps was really rough because I had to learn how to be a black girl in a white space. And it was such a culture shock for me because I grew up around black people, my black teachers, black friends, and leaving East St. Louis and being, you know, not dropped, but stepping into this whole other world, it was extremely hard. It was extremely hard, but over the years, I gained in my footing, and I learned that you beat people by just being more intelligent than them and working harder than them, and that's exactly how it played out. But it was definitely rough in the first couple of years.
So now you're in the military, and how long did you stay in the armed forces?
9 years, 4 months, and 20 days. You've
gotten it down to the days.
Yes, that's people always give me a funny response out of that, but that's what it was, 9 years.
And your MOS was?
6324. I was an avionics/electronics technician on attack helicopters. So basically it was my responsibility to make sure that the electronics parts, like the communication systems, the navigation systems, the radios, anything that had a wire going to it, anything on the engine that had wire going to it, it was my responsibility to troubleshoot and fix or repair or anything like that.
So with your MOS, you evidently had a lot of math also in your background.
Yes, ma'am.
So what are some of the prerequisites for doing what you do?
And particularly with the military, you have to get a certain score on what they call the ASVAB. It's the test that you take in order to basically determine what job you're eligible for in the military. So you have to get a pretty decent score on the ASVAB, and then after you get a high enough score on the ASVAB and you enter the military, they send you to schools for training. With aviation, the military contract is 5 years instead of the normal 4 because you have to go to school for so long to do aircraft electronics.
Okay.
The school is about a year long. It's 2 schools, it's about a year long. And then you go out and you work on your, whatever aircraft they assign you to, helicopters, airplanes, anything. I actually wanted to work on jets because, again, back to that Boeing story, or the McDonnell Douglas story, jets is what I saw, jets is what I wanted. But I ended up in the helicopter community, and it was amazing.
My dad actually worked at McDonnell Douglas,
Oh, yeah?
and then he continued when they turned into Boeing at the time, and he actually worked on aircraft as
Yes,
well.
ma'am.
I can remember a picture in our home with him standing by. He was so proud, standing by this airplane.
Yes.
But
Yes.
were you a minority in terms of being a female in this particular field?
Absolutely. Absolutely. The minority of the minorities. If I wasn't the only black person, I was the only black female. And most of the times I was the only black person. And that was, it had its struggles, like I said in the beginning. I really had to learn how to be a black girl in white spaces. And something that nobody could ever take from me is how hard I work. So I graduated at the top of both of my classes, and then I went on to do so on and so forth while I was active duty. I've gotten awards for fixing things that people couldn't fix who've been, in certain positions longer than me. I've always worked extremely, extremely hard. And to be honest, I'm a nerd. I love math, I love troubleshooting, I love looking at schematics. So it was the passion behind it that also helped me excel in the various different fields that I've worked in.
I was going to ask you, was it your natural abilities, or is it something you just found yourself having to really work hard to do?
A combination of both. I guess coming from the environment that I come from, in East St. Louis, there are positives to growing up in the hood and there are negatives to growing up in the hood. And sometimes it was a little hard for me to concentrate, so I would have to go above and beyond and bring the books home and study a little harder because you're not going to beat me. It was my mentality. And that's just the way I was working. You're not going to beat me. So if I have to go home and study extra just to make sure I get a good grade on this, and that's exactly what I do, and that's exactly what I did, and that's exactly how I performed. And
you came back and you started Minorities
Yes, ma'am.
in Aviation. Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, so Minorities in Aviation started off, it's a program that is birthed out of pain, to be honest with you. I was almost always the only minority and almost always the only female everywhere I worked. And again, I did what I was supposed to do. I held it down, but I can't put into words how hard it was being in those positions in so many different situations. And something that I've noticed moving back home is that these kids that come from the same environment, the same background, the same school districts, they're just as intelligent as I am. And, I have this little funny thing I say. I'm like, I'm not smart. I'm just not afraid to ask as many questions as I need to ask. I've never been embarrassed about asking questions because I'm hungry for knowledge. And so I started Minorities in Aviation in 2018 out in Las Vegas. I used to live out in Las Vegas. I worked at an Air Force base out there for a couple of years. And then the coronavirus stuff happened. And so it basically got shut down. Like I had gone around to the schools and talked to them about, holding events, and it just completely got shut down. Fast forward to 2020, I ended up back home, and I had this opportunity to hold an event in conjunction with an organization called the Young Eagles. And so what they did was they allowed me to bring 50 groups of kids at a time from the city out to the airport, and the kids got to fly airplanes. The pilots took them up, and they actually let them take control of the airplanes. They got to see, tour the helicopters that were out there. St. Louis University is out there, so it was fun.
And so the interest among people in our community, what is that like?
It was, I'll say about 1 in 4.
Okay.
When I say 1 in 4, I mean on the negative side. So some people are afraid to let their children fly airplanes. That was something that I got that I was shocked. And it's not uncommon. My mother won't get on a plane. My uncles won't get on a plane. That's just a common thing. But it had enough interest for me to have multiple events with 50 kids apiece, and people are still calling me about it. So.
Wow, how great is that?
Yes, ma'am.
And so not only do you do Minorities in Aviation, you have another nonprofit organization. And tell us a little bit about that.
So it's actually a community organization that I have. It's called We Have to Save Us. I believe it's my responsibility to do what I can as a minority in aviation to bring it back to East St. Louis and bring it back to my people. But something else that I feel like we have to address is the trauma that these kids go through that goes on unaddressed. And I couldn't say it better than what another lady told me, but it's absolutely true. And that's the observation that I've made is these kids won't be able to reach their full potential in life until we address the trauma that they've been through. And so when I hold these events, I bring people together from the community, and we talk for 2 or 3, 4 hours about the types of food that we eat, the trauma that the kids go through that we don't have access to get help. And I do that in conjunction with Minorities in Aviation because I feel like healing has to occur in order to fully take advantage of minorities entering aviation.
So are there many...
based off of the neighborhoods that I'm targeting.
I understand. So you said you brought it back to the East St. Louis area, but is it also something that you would like to see spread across the country?
Absolutely. This has blown up so fast, I can't believe it.
Tell us about that real quickly.
So I've talked to vice presidents of airlines. I've had people from the UK calling me. I'm actually working on getting something set up in Africa. There's a guy who runs a program out there. He's like, I have 10,000 kids who are hungry.
Oh, wow.
And I've in the process of setting up events in different states, like New Orleans, anywhere in Louisiana where there's a large population of Black people, Texas, Florida, Georgia, California, anywhere. I'm in the process of setting up so many different events inside the U.S., South America, Africa, the UK, and so on and so forth.
And your participants, what all do they learn?
Oh, man. I have big plans. I have big plans. They learn, first of all, the most exciting thing I think for anybody, just like for me, is the exposure.
Okay.
Most of these kids would never get the opportunity to see something like that up close. And sometimes that's all it takes is a 5-second, you can be this close to an airplane if you've never seen one before, and that's all it takes to alter somebody's life. So I start off with any events that I can hold, the show and tell. I'm working on funding I actually just got a call from Boeing, and they told me they want to sponsor the program.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, I'm super excited about that.
Congratulations on that.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, I'm super excited about that. I cannot believe it, but I'm sorry. The electronics funding for the kids to become pilots, and if I can get enough funding, get funding for them to take their ratings up on each aircraft to where I can provide financial support for these kids to get it all the way up to a commercial pilot's license.
If people want to make contact with you and are interested in your organization, how can they do that?
They can contact me at founder@minoriesinaviation.aero.arrow. So it's founder@minoriesinaviation.arrow.
Okay.
Or they can go to the website www.minoriesinaviation.aero.
Okay, and was there anything else that we did not get an opportunity to talk about that you want to make sure you stress to our viewing audience?
Okay, I just wanted to show the T-shirt with the logo on it. That's how you know your website is in the right place. I mean, you're on the right website. But this is our T-shirt right here, Minorities in Aviation. And then on the back of it, we can do it too.
We can do it too. Minorities in Aviation. Thank you so
ma'am.
much, Geanovea.
Thank you.
I just love the concept. I'm grateful that you took the time to come to Smiles Television.
Yes, ma'am.
If you get the chance, will you come back?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Now, you know we have 3 cameras here.
Oh, okay. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, and absolutely.
Yes,
Thank you,
absolutely.
Geanovea. Thank you. Don't go away. We'll be right back with more Smiles. Fireworks, and more fireworks. Molly's Fireworks Extravaganza, located at 6607 Bond Avenue in Cahokia Heights, Illinois, has the best variety and lowest prices in the bi-state area. Owned by Molly Stanley, Molly's Fireworks Extravaganza has become the go-to place to shop in the Metro East. They are open from 8 o'clock a.m. until 8 o'clock p.m. Molly's Fireworks Extravaganza, located at 6607 Bond Avenue in Cahokia Heights, Illinois. And now we're talking with Mr. Zach Chike, and he is a community outreach pastor at the City of Joy Church in East St. Louis, Illinois. Zach, thank you for taking time to talk with me on Smiles TV.
Thank you for having me.
You know what? You are an interesting fellow. We see you out in the community doing work by yourself in terms of picking up litter, painting signs, beautifying the community. You're teaching us something different. Tell us about yourself and what are you doing in the East St. Louis area?
Well, I'll just put it like this. It's really just nothing but God, to be honest, because I had never heard about East St. Louis, but Kempton Turner, you know, my long-term mentor who had a big role in my faith, I ended up visiting. And when me and my wife visited, when I tell you everything that happened and everything that we saw was confirmation that God said, this is where I want you to be. And so now I'm, you know, a part of the church, City of Joy Fellowship. And, you know, our goal is just to, you know, be in community and be an expression of God's love, you know, and be a resource, be assets, be leaders in the community that want to invest and pour into our youth to restore and revitalize areas that have been really divested in, you know, given up on, and because that's not God's heart. It's never too late when it comes to God. So,
you briefly mentioned your family. Tell us a little bit about your family.
Yeah, so I'm married, going on 9 years in January, and so my wife Jennifer, and then I have 4 kids now.
4 kids?
Yep.
Okay.
So I got an 8-year-old son, Kendrick, and then I have a 5-year-old daughter, Cameron, and then I have another daughter, Mia. She's 2, and then I have a 9-month-old son.
Didn't I see a picture with you and your children or one of your kids out there
Yeah,
doing work in the community?
Yeah, now that's the real work right there. My kids, they keep me busy, and just being a father, it's a joy, and it's also, you know, one of the greatest challenges, you know, and so, but it's a blessing. I'm blessed to have.
It's really great to see a family man, first of all, training up your children at home,
Right.
and then reaching out to the community. And I believe your efforts are contagious. It appears that others are becoming more interested in taking back our community and what it looks like. Have you noticed the motivation change a little bit?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, when I first started, people would stop me and be like, "Hey, the trash gonna be right back there in 2 weeks." And I'm sitting there in my mind because God has already shown me something. When I was picking up trash in some of these areas, He was showing me, "Zach, you picking up 2-year-old trash. You picking up year-old trash." So it's the mindset that you begin to take on as you are not getting the type of services that you should receive. You know what I'm saying? And so we have to do the hard work of the effort of changing it. I had to get out there and clean up, and I think over time, to answer your question, I have seen people, when they see me out there every day, when I tell you I've been a full-time community activist on the streets every day, cleaning up trash, doing whatever I could do to change the perception and change what we see, that's what I've been doing.
I'm one who believes that change starts from the inside out.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I do believe in God, and I believe He gives us the ability to make change. First of all, I believe it starts in the home, and that's why I wanted to talk about your family at that time,
Right, yeah.
because you're training up your children in the way to go. And to change outward, the outward appearance of our community takes more than just saying, let's go clean up today. It's a heart change.
Right.
So how do you believe we can work on the individual's hearts to motivate them to care more, or to display the care that may already be there?
God has put it on my heart to be a spark, to be somebody who's going to be a catalyst, because I really do believe in just the soul and the culture of East St. Louis. It's so rich with just overcoming resilience, just pride. It's unlike any other city where there's such a joy, and it's just a blessing to be from East St. Louis. People see it as a positive.
But in terms of just taking pride in your own place, that doesn't take any money to just pick up some trash. You follow what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
that's why I'm really key on
Yeah.
changing the individual.
Yeah.
And I believe through maybe your church, for example, City of
Yeah.
Joy,
Yeah.
and some of the teachings that you guys may be doing, that
Right.
God is going to use that to
Absolutely.
continue
Right.
to stir up a change. Tell us a little bit about the City of Joy.
Yeah, so City of Joy Fellowship, we've been a church for going on 6 years. And so I've been serving at the church, and we've been slowly growing. We just have a group of families who we love Jesus, we love God, we love His people, and we want to serve Him. And we really believe that it's when people experience real love, that's when people change. When that desire that you have within inside of yourself is to experience unconditional love, you find it in God. But it has to be seen tangibly. You can't just say it. You got to go out and reflect it.
God has let you come in working with just love in your heart. You know, I watch you on Facebook. You share everybody's stuff. You know, you help promote everything.
Yeah.
And so when we do that for one another and people see that good work coming out, it becomes contagious.
Absolutely.
And I think that's what's happening with you.
If we just take it one step at a time and do the small things, change will come. Because during COVID, I learned that I have to go out and do something. Because before COVID, I was leading a youth Bible study, me and my wife. We have been doing that for 3 years. And then when COVID hit, it was like God just redirected me, because I still care about the youth. I still want to see them impacted. But through COVID, He showed me, you need to give them tangible ways to change, to see change. And I've passed so many different things in our community where I'm looking like, that's an eyesore, I want to change that. You got nothing but time now because of COVID. And so I started getting out there and started changing things, and God just showed me a whole different ministry. Your ministry is these streets.
What do you need? How can people help you?
Is support this mobile app that I started.
Right.
So it's called Greenwood Ave. You go on the App Store and then download it. It's Greenwood Ave. You can add Black-owned businesses that you see and that you experience and discover, and you can add it to the long list of different businesses that are already there. It's every kind of business. It could be restaurants. It could be laundromats. It could be grocery stores. All that stuff. And the goal is just to uplift our economic, power.
I understand.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything else that you would like to say prior to closing out this segment? Any words of encouragement or motivational words that can help people understand the importance of your efforts and additional needed efforts?
Yeah. I believe we just have to continue to be engaged. We have to continue to do the work that's ahead of us. It's really going to be on us to use every single resource that we have, every single asset. Each person has a gift that they can utilize. Every single person needs to be involved, because it does take a village. And in order to see change, we have to go out there and be the change. And we have to push and demand the same type of standard that we want to grow up around. We want our children to grow up around. And we need to elevate all of our businesses, and we need to begin to promote our businesses and begin to get behind them as much as possible.
I don't feel like we had enough time.
Hey, it's all good.
Because there's so much that you guys are doing, and the City of Joy Fellowship is growing and really contributing to the community. Pastor Kempton has been on the broadcast. It's been a while, but when they first started the church, God allowed him to come on. We're showing some of the work that you've been doing and some of the billboards that, did you personally get up there?
I did.
Wow.
And it was funny because I was with one of those extension type of paintbrushes, and every letter I was just up there looking crazy, but that's just part of making use of what you got. And
So you're really motivating all of us.
Yeah.
And like you said, we all have different gifts. Everybody can't do the same thing, so we come together and offer what we can.
I wanted to mention Clean City Coalition. So Clean City Coalition is an organization that started over the last year. That is crazy how it came together. It was really organic because I was doing work in the city, trying to make an impact, and then there was 3 other brothers who were doing the same thing, who are around my same age, that I met within the last year, and we just bumped into each other, all doing stuff in the community with the same vision. And so we created a coalition called Clean City Coalition. And the 3 guys that are involved is J.D. Dixon of Empire 13, and then we have Karan Payton of Rec Team, and then we have Thomas Brown of Building the Foundation. And these are all young brothers who care about East St. Louis, who care about our people, who care about what's right, and aren't afraid to get our hands dirty and to say, we're gonna make a change no matter what, even if it's me that has to come bring it. Like, I don't have a way with words. I would rather just show you. You know what I'm saying? I'd rather just get out there and reflect real love, because that's what we miss so often, because everybody wants to get away from the areas where we're needed the most. Like, we need leaders to come back. And so that would be one encouragement, is to say, come back now, because the time is now where the narrative is being taken back by us.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chike. I
Absolutely.
really appreciate you
Thank you for having
taking
me.
time. And yes, sir, I do want you to come back.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to come back through.
We'll be following you, watching the updates, and I'm not going to get out there myself because I need some work with this arthritis.
Hey,
but you know
I
what?
understand.
I believe in prayer. I believe that God uses public relations. So anything that Smiles Television can do, count us in, okay?
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you again. And thank you for tuning in to Smiles Television Talk Show. I just love this broadcast today with our first guest, Geanovea West. And now you meet a gentleman, Zach Chike, taking it upon himself to turn around our community in great ways. Remember, only what you do for Christ will last, and Jesus is the Lord. The Lord be magnified.
The Smiles Television Talk Show wants to showcase your business, organization, church, and activities. If you have an interest in being a guest on Smiles Television Talk Show, or if you have any show ideas, contact Stephanie Anthony Miles at SmilesTV777@gmail.com. You may also call 618-741-3770. Tell your friends to subscribe to the Smiles YouTube channel. Let Smiles TV increase your reach. Remember, you look better with Smiles.